My name is Olivia. I am 41 years old, and the salt-laced air of Seabreeze Cove is as familiar to me as the lines on my own hands. It's a town where life moves at a gentle pace, where the rhythm of the tides dictates the day, and the cries of seagulls are a constant, comforting soundtrack. Our little cottage, nestled just a stone's throw from the sandy beach, has been the backdrop for the most beautiful and the most heart-wrenching moments of my life. I have one daughter, Lily, who is now a vibrant and curious teenager of 15. My husband was Mark. He would have celebrated his 48th birthday this past spring. We were married for 18 years, a tapestry woven with threads of laughter, music, shared dreams, and ultimately a profound loss. I met Mark when I was just 23, a recent graduate with a hopeful heart and a slightly naive view of the world. He was 28, with a smile that could melt the iciest of days and eyes that held a depth of kindness I had never encountered before. He owned a small, independent music shop in town, a haven filled with the warm scent of wood and the comforting hum of guitars. I had wandered in one afternoon, looking for a new set of strings for my old acoustic, and was immediately captivated by the passion in his voice as he spoke about music. He wasn't just selling instruments, he was sharing his soul. He was a talented musician himself, a singer-songwriter with a voice that could make your heart ache with longing or soar with joy. He would often stay after closing, strumming melodies on his guitar, and he started dedicating songs to me, lyrics that spoke of my smile, my laughter, the way I made him feel. Our courtship was like a beautiful melody unfolding, each date a new note that harmonized perfectly with the last. He would take me for long walks along the beach at sunset, the sky ablaze with color, and we would talk for hours about everything and nothing. He shared his dreams of making music his full-time career, of filling the world with his songs. I shared my aspirations of becoming a teacher, of shaping young minds. We just understood each other effortlessly. Our wedding day was a small, intimate affair held right here in Seabreeze Cove, with the sound of the waves providing a natural symphony. Mark wrote a song for our vows, a melody so beautiful it brought tears to everyone's eyes, including his own. He looked at me as I walked down the aisle, his eyes shining with love, and I knew with absolute certainty that I was the luckiest woman in the world. He would often say, even years later, "Olivia, marrying you was the best song I ever wrote." And every time he said it, my heart would swell with the same joy I felt that day. Our early married life was a period of pure bliss. We settled into our cozy cottage, painting the walls in soft, sea-inspired hues, and filling it with our shared treasures, books, instruments, and photographs that captured our growing love. Mark's music shop thrived in the beginning, a hub for local musicians and enthusiasts. He loved being his own boss, curating his collection of instruments and sharing his knowledge with others. I started my teaching career at the local elementary school, finding fulfillment in guiding young children on their learning journeys. 3 years into our marriage, our greatest joy arrived, our daughter, Lily. She was a perfect blend of both of us, inheriting my curiosity and Mark's infectious laughter. Becoming parents transformed us, deepening our bond in ways we couldn't have imagined. Mark was an incredibly hands-on father. He would spend hours reading to Lily, his voice animated as he brought stories to life. He taught her how to build magnificent sandcastles on the beach, patiently showing her the techniques for creating sturdy walls and intricate towers. And of course, he introduced her to the magic of music, letting her strum his guitar and singing silly songs that would fill the house with giggles. I cherished those early years, the feeling of our little family unit, complete and overflowing with love. Life felt simple, yet profoundly meaningful. We had family dinners every evening, sharing stories of our day. Weekends were dedicated to adventures, often just a walk along the beach, collecting seashells and watching the waves crash. Our home was always filled with music, sometimes Mark playing his latest composition, sometimes Lily banging enthusiastically on a toy piano. Mark and I were a team, navigating the joys and challenges of parenthood together, our love a constant anchor in the ever-changing tides of life. But as Lily grew older, around the time she started elementary school, Mark's music shop began to face increasing competition from online retailers and larger chain stores. The warm scent of wood and the comforting hum of guitars couldn't compete with the convenience and lower prices offered by the internet. Mark poured his heart and soul into the shop, working longer hours, trying to come up with innovative ways to attract customers. He started offering music lessons, hosting small local gigs, anything to keep the business afloat. He would come home late, his shoulders slumped with exhaustion and worry. The vibrant energy that used to radiate from him seemed to have dimmed. He stopped playing his guitar as much. The melodies that once filled our home became fewer and farther between. Our weekend beach walks became less frequent, replaced by Mark spending his Saturdays at the shop, trying to catch up on paperwork or meet with suppliers. He would often say, his voice laced with a weariness I had never heard before, "I have so much to worry about at the shop, Olivia. I just need to focus." He still kissed me goodnight, a routine gesture, but the lingering warmth and the spark in his eyes seemed to have faded. I noticed the change, the subtle shift in our dynamic. I asked him gently, "Are you okay, Mark? You seem stressed." He would always reply with a reassuring smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'm just tired, love. Don't worry. It's just the shop." I tried to be understanding. I knew he was under a tremendous amount of pressure. I would make his favorite meals, trying to create a relaxing atmosphere at home, hoping to ease his burden. But despite my efforts, the distance between us grew. He became more withdrawn, lost in his thoughts, less talkative. I missed our deep conversations, his playful teasing, the way he used to look at me with such adoration. I felt a growing sense of unease, like I was slowly losing him to the worries that consumed him. One rainy afternoon, while tidying up his study, a space usually filled with music books and guitar picks, I stumbled upon a stack of unopened bills tucked away in a drawer. Mark had always been meticulous about our finances, a responsible and organized partner. My heart sank with a heavy thud as I realized the sheer volume of the overdue notices and the mounting debts associated with the shop. He hadn't told me. He had been carrying this immense burden all alone, shielding me from the harsh reality of his struggles. That evening, when he finally came home, his face etched with exhaustion, I gently confronted him, my voice trembling slightly. "Mark," I said, holding up the stack of bills, my eyes searching his, "why didn't you tell me? We're a team. We face things together." He looked utterly defeated, the weight of the world seemingly resting on his shoulders. "I didn't want to worry you, Olivia," he said, his voice barely a whisper, laced with a mixture of guilt and shame. "I thought I could handle it. I kept hoping things would turn around." We sat down together in the living room, the only sound the rhythmic drumming of the rain against the window panes, and we talked for hours that night. He finally opened up about his deepest fears and anxieties, the crushing weight of the shop's failure, the fear of letting us down. I listened intently, my heart aching for him, offering comfort and unwavering support. We decided then and there that we would face this challenge together, as a united front, just like we always had in the past. We made some incredibly tough decisions in the following weeks. After exploring every possible option, it became clear that Mark had to let go of his beloved music shop. It broke his heart into a million pieces. That little shop had been his dream, his passion, a part of his identity. But he knew, for the sake of our family, it was the only viable path forward. He spent weeks packing up his instruments, saying goodbye to loyal customers, and closing the doors of his dream for the last time. He immediately started looking for other work, his determination fueled by his love for Lily and me. After a few months of searching and numerous interviews, he finally found a job at a larger music store in a neighboring town. It wasn't the same as owning his own place. The autonomy and creative freedom were gone, but it provided a steady income and a sense of stability for our family. Slowly, gradually, things started to improve. Mark was home more often, his work schedule more regular. The constant cloud of worry that had hung over him began to dissipate. He seemed lighter, more like the Mark I remembered. We started having our weekend beach walks again, Lily skipping happily between us, collecting seashells and chasing the waves. He even picked up his guitar again, the familiar melodies filling our home with a sense of normalcy and comfort. I saw glimpses of the man I had fallen deeply in love with, the man whose smile could still light up my entire day. Then, one cold winter morning, just as we were starting to feel like we were finding our footing again, everything changed in an instant, irrevocably. Mark went for a bike ride, a cherished ritual on his days off, a way for him to clear his head and enjoy the crisp sea air. A few hours later, the phone rang. It was the police. There had been an accident. A car had hit him while he was cycling. My world tilted on its axis. I rushed to the hospital, the drive a blur of panic and disbelief, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The doctors did everything they could, their faces grim, their voices hushed, but it was too late. My Mark, my love, my life partner was gone. My world shattered into a million irreparable pieces. The laughter that once echoed through our home was abruptly silenced, replaced by a heavy, suffocating silence. The music stopped, the instruments gathering dust in the corner. The beach walks became solitary, each step a painful reminder of the hand that was no longer holding mine. Lily and I were adrift in a vast, empty sea of grief, the waves of sorrow threatening to overwhelm us. The man who had been my best friend, my confidant, my lover, the very anchor of our little family, was no longer there to guide us. In the days and weeks that followed, I felt like a ghost, merely existing, going through the motions of life without truly living. I took care of Lily, ensuring she ate and went to school, but inside I was numb, a hollow shell of my former self. Sleep offered no respite, filled with fragmented dreams of Mark, his laughter echoing just out of reach. Every corner of our cottage held memories, each object a painful reminder of his presence. The scent of his favorite coffee still lingered in the air some mornings, a cruel trick of my memory. I missed his warm embrace, his comforting presence, the way he would listen patiently to my worries and offer words of wisdom. The cottage by the sea, once a haven of love and laughter, now felt cold and empty without him. One evening, months after he was gone, as I sat alone in the living room, the silence broken only by the mournful cry of a distant foghorn, I found myself looking through old photographs. There was one picture, tucked away in the back of an album, of Mark and me from our wedding day. We were so young, so full of hope and dreams, our faces radiant with love and the promise of a lifetime together. Tears streamed down my face, hot and relentless, as I remembered the vows we had exchanged, the promises we had made. In sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, till death do us part. We had weathered the storm of his struggling shop, emerging stronger and more united. But death, the ultimate thief, had been the one obstacle we couldn't overcome together. Time, that relentless force, continued its march forward, as it always does, indifferent to our pain. Lily and I navigated the first anniversaries, the first holidays without him, each milestone a fresh wave of grief. But Lily, my brave and resilient daughter, became my unexpected strength. Her bright spirit, though dimmed by her own loss, and her unwavering love for me kept me tethered to the present, reminding me that life, however altered, still held a glimmer of hope. We talked about Mark often, sharing cherished memories, laughing at funny anecdotes, and keeping his spirit alive in our hearts. We would visit his grave by the sea, leaving flowers and whispering our thoughts and feelings into the wind. A few years passed, the sharp edges of my grief slowly starting to soften, replaced by a dull ache of longing. I knew I needed to find a way to move forward, not to forget Mark, but to build a new life for Lily and myself. I started volunteering at a local community center, offering tutoring to children who needed extra help with their reading. It gave me a sense of purpose again, a feeling that I was contributing something meaningful to the world. It also allowed me to connect with other people, to step outside the isolating bubble of my grief. One day, while helping a young boy with his alphabet, I met a kind man named David. He was volunteering in the garden, tending to the colorful flower beds. He had also experienced the profound loss of his spouse a few years prior, and we found an immediate connection in our shared understanding of grief. We started talking during our breaks, sharing stories of our loved ones, finding solace in knowing that we weren't alone in our pain. David was a gentle soul, with a warm, reassuring smile and a deeply compassionate heart. He never tried to replace Mark, and he always spoke of him with respect and understanding when I shared memories. He simply offered his friendship, a steady presence in my life when I needed it most. We would often have coffee together after our volunteer shifts, talking about books, movies, the simple joys and sorrows of everyday life. Slowly, cautiously, a new kind of connection began to form between us, a quiet understanding that grew stronger with each passing day. One sunny afternoon, David and I were sitting on a bench overlooking the familiar expanse of the ocean, the same ocean Mark and I used to watch together, our hands intertwined. David turned to me, his eyes filled with a gentle tenderness, and said, "Olivia, I know I can never fill the void Mark left in your heart. That kind of love is unique and precious, but I care about you deeply, and I want to be there for you and Lily in whatever way you'll allow me." I looked at him, tears welling up in my eyes, a mixture of sadness for what was lost and a burgeoning hope for what could be. It wasn't the same passionate, all-consuming love I had shared with Mark. That love was a vibrant melody that would forever resonate within me. But this was something different, something quieter, more comforting, like a gentle harmony that soothed my still aching soul. I realized that it was okay to find happiness again, even after experiencing such a profound loss. Mark would have wanted that for me, for both Lily and me. I took a deep breath, the salty air filling my lungs, and said, my voice thick with emotion, "David, I care about you too. Life will never be the same without Mark. He will always hold a cherished and irreplaceable place in my heart, the melody of our love forever etched in my soul. But I have learned, through the long and arduous journey of grief, that love can indeed take many forms, and that healing, though it takes time and unwavering courage, is possible, even after the deepest pain. Lily and I have found a new rhythm to our lives, a quiet peace settling over our little cottage by the sea, with the enduring memory of Mark always in our hearts, and the gentle promise of a new chapter unfolding, one wave at a time. David has become a part of our lives, a kind and supportive presence, and while the laughter in our home might sound a little different now, and the music we listen to might have evolved, the love that fills our hearts continues to grow in its own unique and beautiful way, one gentle, hopeful step at a time. If this story touched your heart, please feel free to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories will be coming soon.